corporal punishment in school. If you look at a map, this is brilliant. Our member, Forrest, sent me this. If you look at a map of the states that allow corporal punishment in school, it mirrors the states that Mitt Romney won almost exactly. The visible exceptions to me are Colorado allows corporal punishment in school, but it went for President Obama. And Florida allows corporal punishment in school, and by the slimmest of margins, went to President Obama.
And Utah.
Utah does not allow corporal punishment, and it went very, very strongly to Mitt Romney. So what is corporal punishment? This is where school officials are allowed to punish students with physical punishment. This might be, typically it's striking the student a specific number of times in something that's premeditated and set. So for example, if you do X, you get hit 5 times with a ruler on the buttocks or on the hands, for example. This I know that if you live in the Northeast, you may not even realize that this exists in schools in parts of this country, but it does. The first country to prohibit corporal punishment was Poland in 1783. I was just out of curiosity, I checked in my home country of Argentina. Initially banned in 1813, re-legalized in 1817, lasted until the 1980s, okay? What is the connection between being physically punished as a kid and voting for Republicans? Are we looking at causation? Are we looking at correlation? Anytime we have something like this, we have to examine that. I'll also throw in the most educated states voted for President Obama. Natan, let's see if we can put that chart up. As you can see here, if you look at what percentage of people over 25 have college degrees, number 1, Massachusetts, Maryland, Colorado, Connecticut, Vermont, New Jersey, Virginia, New Hampshire, New York, Minnesota, all went for President Obama. Look at the worst educated states, starting with, at the very bottom of the list, West Virginia, Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Alabama, Nevada, Indiana, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, all but Nevada voting for Mitt Romney. So let's go back to the corporal punishment map for now. Let's go through this and get thoughts. Natan, you first. What are we looking at here in terms of causation, correlation, relationship?
I think this is just one of the many things that are prevalent in conservative states where there are conservative people. I think this has to do with how people think, and the way people think is reflected in the state governments, which is reflected in the laws. It's just a holdover, and conservative America has a bunch of holdovers from way back in the early American days. So what you're talking about, education, high church-going rates, and belief in God, there are a whole bunch of issues where we're just going to find very old reactionary ideas.
Now, Lewis, let me go to you, because it's very easy to point out some of these combinations. A lot of fast food in the red states, but that's just a socioeconomic thing, etc. And it's very easy to say, listen, we have a correlation, but we don't have causation. However, corporal punishment is a little different, because it is something that children, before they vote, before they are voting age, are subjected to. And eventually, a higher percentage of them than in other states end up voting for Republicans. So it's a little bit different than just saying it's a socioeconomic thing. We can't determine any kind of causation.
We've talked about studies that show that your upbringing has a lot to do with how you vote.
Sure.
And that children of authoritative parents,
Authoritarian
parents, yeah, usually end up voting Republican, being Republican. They're afraid, they're punished, they respond to authority, and they're submissive, I guess you could say. And
certainly, corporal punishment in schools is equivalent in some sense to authoritarian parenting.
In most cases, the parents have to consent to it in many of these states. So that, I think, is exactly what's going on here.
Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for Forrest sending this to us. Very interesting to look at.